Historical evidence of Jesus Part 2. 4. Jewish sources. Josephus, the Jewish historian Josephus, writing in the late 1st century, mentions Jesus twice in Antiquities of the Jews. One passage, known as the Testimonium Flavianum, describes Jesus as a wise man and miracle worker. However, it's widely believed that this passage was altered by later Christian scribes, as it includes phrases unlikely from a Jewish historian. Limitations: Josephus' brief references to Jesus are contested. Most scholars believe at least some parts of his writings about Jesus were later interpolations additions by Christian scribes, which raises questions about their authenticity. 5. Lack of contemporary evidence, no contemporary accounts. There are no surviving accounts from Jesus' own lifetime or from eyewitnesses outside of the New Testament. No Roman records mention Jesus, and figures like Philo of Alexandria, a Jewish historian who wrote extensively on events in Palestine at the time, do not mention him. Silence of contemporary historians. Some argue that if Jesus had performed dramatic public miracles or had such a large following, we would expect more contemporary references to him, especially given the detailed records kept by Roman historians and officials. Summary of the evidence's limitations. While most historians agree that a figure named Jesus likely existed, the evidence for his life is limited and relies heavily on sources that are either religious in nature or written decades after his death. The Gospels provide the most information, but are theological works rather than purely historical records, and external sources like Tacitus and Josephus offer only brief references with limited detail. From a historical perspective, we have little direct or contemporary evidence about Jesus' life, and most of what is available comes from later writings by his followers or second-hand accounts. This scarcity of evidence is why some critics question the details of his life as portrayed in the Gospels, though the general scholarly consensus remains that a historical Jesus likely existed.